Good afternoon and welcome to episode 93 of the Jacksonian. I'm yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and I'm here with the publisher of Wahoos247 at 247Sports, Jacquie Franciulli, as we go over our take on the Virginia Cavaliers, on how they've been doing in the world of college football and how they're going to be doing in the world of college basketball. And let me tell you something, folks, you're going to be in for a wild ride. How you doing today, friend Jackie?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for coming on episode 93. I appreciate it, especially on this fine day.
Yeah, no problem. It's exciting times. A bowl game for Virginia, something that hasn't happened since 2019 for the program.
Oh, man. It's been a very huge season for Virginia football. And I tell you, it's going to be fun discussing, what's going on with the rest of the university. Before we get started, I just want to ask you, for those who don't know about you and want to learn more about the magic that you're creating on Woohoo's 247 and much more, would you like to tell the audience a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I just cover Virginia for the 247 site for the Virginia. And yeah, I've been on this beat since 2021. So it's been 4 years. So all of Tony Elliott's tenure, I was here for Bronco Mental Health last year. So it's been quite a turnaround for the program coming in here the last 4 years. So you got to see from, the bottom of it to now.
Oh man, so you've gotten to cover it through the bad times, but now you're getting to cover the good times for Virginia football. There you go.
Yes, for sure.
And let's go ahead and get started with those good times because just looking at the 2025 season, right? Looking at this whole season, and you're looking at Virginia, Florida State, right? Some people are just like, we don't care about this game. But I always tell people when there's a game that you think no one's really going to care about, that just means one thing: upsets are coming. And before that, you lost a critical non-conference game, North Carolina State. I mean, that's funny calling it a non-con game, but now that was like a much-needed win. Like, what do you think that did for the rest of the season? Like, for me, I feel like that set up momentum for the rest of 2025. What'd you think, Jackie?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a primetime game for Virginia. A lot of expectations around there, especially because it was the 25th anniversary of the last time Virginia beat Florida State with winning at home as well. So it was a big opportunity for UVA. So for Virginia, that was a big chance for them to turn things around and kind of show what the potential was. I actually think the road game at Louisville probably did more for them than the Florida State. Obviously, the Florida State game was big, but just coming up from a high in that situation and then going on the road and being able to be at Louisville, which was one of the better teams in the ACC prior to some of the injuries they had, really showed what this team is capable of, especially when it goes to like 2 overtime games in a row. So I think the Louisville game actually showed more than the Florida State win. So I think it's just those back-to-back things that really helped this team kind of show their potential.
Yeah, and just kind of like looking at the whole season, there's been a lot of one-score games, good, bad, and ugly. The Louisville game, the Washington State game, the South's oldest rivalry, the 2025 one, that was a wild finish. Especially stopping them half a yard short. Like, man, that was nuts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this team always said that they had belief until the very last second, which is what even you saw in the ACC championship game. When you can argue they probably had the worst game of the entire season against Duke in that ACC title game. They always had belief, which is why when they had the ball in the last 4 minutes of regulation, they gave us the opportunity for them to win, right? I think when you look at it, that's what made this team so different and special for this Virginia program. Was they never lost that belief, and that's something that Chandler Morris kind of helped install in this program when he came in and transferred from North Texas. And that's been the big difference for them. And I know they've had some close games, and when you look at it, it always had to do with injuries or who was not available during those games. Chandler Morris got hurt after that Florida State game. He injured his hand, then he injured his shoulder, which didn't allow him to become more of a willing runner as what he did against Florida State. If you remember one of the key drives against FSU, Virginia didn't throw the ball once. They just marched down the field and ran the whole time, and Chandler Morris had 5 rushing touchdowns in that win. he didn't have as much productivity on the ground after that game, and that's because he had that shoulder injury, which impaired him a little bit through that middle section of the season. And obviously, Virginia had other injuries like running back Xavier Brown, Dakota Tweedy, the tight end, left after the first play against Louisville. So that's when the offensive production started to die down. And then against NC State, they didn't have their best defender playing, which was linebacker Cam Robinson, which is why NC State was able to run the ball more effectively. So when you look at some of the things that Virginia was able to do despite those injuries, it's quite a remarkable season.
Oh, man, it's incredibly remarkable because, I mean, it's like looking at week 2, if somebody had said to you, yeah, Virginia lost to North Carolina State, but they're going to make it to the ACC title game, you'd be like, wow. I want to get that lottery ticket of whoever said that.
For sure. I think most of us on the beat expected Virginia to be better than the 14th preseason ranking. I think myself and another reporter on the beat, Greg Medea, we both picked them to finish between 5th or 7th in the ACC when we were voting, just because we realized that they were a little better as far as depth in certain positions. So we didn't expect them to be down there. We expected a bowl eligible season, but to say fighting for a college football playoff position was probably not on our bingo cards. But I think UVA having a season that they have isn't surprising when you look at what they did in the portal last winter.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, it's like it's kind of interesting to see, like an amazing season, throughout what happened with Virginia. And it was sad to see them lose the ACC title, which, I mean, it was like, but on the bright side, you got that Virginia Tech monkey off your back. That is like, okay, we're not letting ourselves get beat by Virginia Tech anymore. It was always like Charlie Brown trying to get that football away from Lucy. That's what kind of felt like, for Virginia. How did it feel just kind of going, yeah, we're going to get this win?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Virginia had a lot of those monkey off their backs this year, right? When you look at the first time, I mean, this is the first 10-win season since 1989. It's only the second ever 10-win season for this program in general. You see a lot of first times. I mean, this is, Jamari Taylor was the first 1,000-yard rusher for a long time. I mean, you've got so many firsts. I mean, they only had one loss in ACC play, and this just happens to be when Chandler Morris was out for almost the entire game. So you see all the stuff that they'd be able to do. That win against Virginia Tech was a good thing too, because they obviously hired James Franklin as their new head coach, who's a good recruiter in this area as well in the Mid-Atlantic. So you want to cement that this program is on the right trajectory when you have a new staff coming in Blacksburg, especially when you want to win those in-state battles, which Virginia has been doing in the 2027 class, which is important for them moving forward. So, yeah, I mean, beating your in-state rival has a lot of ramifications, but also future ramifications when you have the new staff. They're building from the ground zero up. Yes, James Franklin could tell you everything he's done at Penn State, but he has to show it at Virginia Tech. I mean, Tony Elliott had the same issues when he came from Clemson, right? When he came from Clemson, he had to show what he was capable of doing at UVA with a UVA budget and UVA facilities, not Clemson budget, not Clemson facilities. And that same goes with James Franklin when he goes to Virginia Tech. He has to show what he's capable of doing at Virginia Tech on a Virginia Tech budget and Virginia Tech facilities rather than a Big Ten Penn State budget and Big Ten facilities. So you have this opportunity for the first couple months here after that game to really move forward the program. So yes, this is a monkey off the back. It's great, rivalry fonder, what you did on the field, but what it does off the field is really important.
Oh, no doubt. It's pretty huge for the Cavaliers. And now that, unfortunately, the ACC title game was lost, but you get to play in the Gator Bowl. You're playing the Missouri Tigers. And I've talked about like how, throughout the year where Virginia has just been in a lot of close games all year. And it's been the same way with Missouri, but luckily, one thing that I think will help Virginia is Bo Pribula going into the portal and basically not playing in the Gator Bowl. Is there going to be any opt-outs from Virginia, or is everybody just kind of going, you know what, we're going to end this 2025 season with a bang and build on the 2026 season with momentum?
Yeah, as of right now, there hasn't been any opt-outs for Virginia. I mean, Darian Harrison entered the portal, and so has cornerback Jason Provard. Those are the two players that have entered the portal, and those are the two players who, by not opting out, but they're not going to play in the bowl, right? Because they're going to be in the portal. So those are the guys who are not playing, but Chandler Morris is playing, the starting quarterback. Mitchell Melton, a starting defensive end, who has a decision to make if he wants to go to the NFL or stay for an extra year. He's going to set the play. We haven't heard anything about Jamari Taylor, the starting running back. As of right now, the expectation is that he's playing. There's nothing publicly known about that. So, but yeah, until now, everyone is expected to play. We even talked to offensive lineman Noah Josie today during press availability, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, and this is probably just me, but I can't help but feel like this could result in a close win for Virginia in the Gator Bowl, and I feel like they can really pull this off.
I mean, it's crucial for Virginia to establish the run early. I think that's been the key. That'll be the key for Virginia. Obviously, Missouri can run the ball well with their true All-American running back there with Hobbs, but for Virginia, they need to establish the run. So when you look at Virginia's O-line, they've been hampered by injuries the second half of the season. So you're hoping for them to really be able to hold down the line in a line of scrimmage. Missouri's defensive line is big. They're physical, so that's going to be a true test for UVA. Tony Elliott said it best when they were structuring the trenches during the portal last year. They were structuring for the ACC. When you're structuring for the ACC compared to structuring for the SEC, that's different. That's a different type of trenches or a different type of defensive line that you face. So it's going to be a challenge there in the line of scrimmage. But as you said, Virginia should expect a lot of their veterans to play in this game. And veteran experience is priceless. Virginia has proven that time and time again. When you have so much senior leadership and senior veterans, that does help you in close games.
Oh, man. Well, in the offensive line, defensive line on this game, it's definitely going to be terror time again on Saturday night on the Gator Bowl for sure.
Yes, it is. And I think it's the old cliche of college football. You win it in the trenches.
Yeah. And, for me, I'll kind of just go ahead and lean towards a Virginia win where they win 27-24. So that's where I'm leaning for the Virginia Cavaliers. I think Missouri lives above Prebula. That's going to be too much for them to overcome. And they're going to be having a few more opt-outs. Besides that, it's really going to hurt the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, I think I'm not prepared to make a prediction quite yet, but I think the more opt-outs, I think Virginia will certainly benefit from them because Virginia has shown that they will play for each other, and that always gives them a little bit of an edge.
There you go. United we stand, divided we fall. Love that. I love that line. I think right there. But, the basketball team, so far they're looking pretty good, especially with getting Ryan Odom from VCU. I mean, the coaching cradle of college basketball, right? Are we seeing the old days or of Tony Bennett where he was getting them going, like coming back? Or are we seeing something better than where Tony Bennett had them?
I hate to say if it's better. I think you can say it's different. Don't forget what Tony Bennett did during when he came was turn around the program as well. I mean, it was a program that wasn't doing well postseason, wasn't getting any sort of accolades. I mean, they won the first ACC tournament in 2014 under Tony Bennett. And it was the last time they had won previously, the gasoline price was 75 cents a gallon. So, it's a pretty perspective. Tony Bennett turned around a program that was practically dead in the water. And then they were able to take him and win the national title in 2019. I don't think you can say it's better what Ryan Odom is doing, but it's definitely different. I mean, when you look at them, you're seeing a program that is certainly doing well offensively. They're pressuring the ball. I mean, against Maryland, probably not the best first half offensively with kind of doing the remnants of old of scoring just a little over 20 points in that first half. But then you see the second half. I mean, Dallin Hall kind of took control. Jakari White took control. And offensively, they've been doing really well. What stood out to me in the game against Maryland was defensively, they showed some improvements there. They were able to really control Maryland especially in that first half, to 30% shooting. So that was definitely something that has improved, and something that Ryan Odom has said they need to improve still. You got Tista Ritter and Johan Grunlow and Ugano Nyenso, who's doing really well in the paint and really controlling them inside, and being very physical. So that's been a huge improvement for Virginia. So I wouldn't say it's better. I would say it's different, and putting Virginia probably back on the trajectory that Tony Bennett started.
Oh man, and there's the last non-con game for tonight. The University of American, and you're starting out in conference play in style with Virginia Tech.
Yeah, so that'll be a New Year's Eve matchup in Blacksburg for Virginia. And, they've had a few good tests leading up to ACC play. I mean, you had them play in Charlotte on the same day that Virginia football played in Charlotte, where they beat a good Dayton team. Obviously, they went to the Greenbrier Tip-Off Classic, and they were one of two there. And I think they've had, obviously played Texas in the ACC Big Challenge, SEC Challenge. So having those games has really helped Virginia prepare for the ACC onslaught. But yeah, I mean, this is when true teams kind of separate themselves.
Oh, there you go. You start with Virginia Tech and you end with Virginia Tech. That is so awesome right there. That is so awesome. And, well, it truly is Valentine's Day because we've got some non-con games in college basketball again.
Yeah, that Ohio State game. I think Virginia has done a good job with that non-conference schedule, trying to get some good competition to help them in their KenPom rankings. And Ohio State will be a good chance. And also for the ACC, too. I mean, the ACC has had some perception issues in the last few years. So these schedules will certainly help the ACC when it comes to bracket selection. The ACC, I mean, even in football, you can argue that has a perception issue. So anytime they're able to win these games is huge for the conference in general, so that they don't have those issues when it comes to being selected.
Well, and just kind of like looking at North Carolina and Duke, those can be some chances for some huge wins right there.
For sure. And I think Virginia, they're kind of what I mentioned about the football team. It's kind of similar to the basketball program too, is that the way they attack the portal and got veteran leaders or guys with a lot of playing experience. So against Maryland, you had guys like Jakari White and Dallin Hall and Devin Tillis kind of step up in big moments, so that when things weren't going right, you had those guys that have been there before. Even, I guess you can call them freshmen, Grunlow and DeRitter, those guys aren't freshmen in age, right? They're freshmen because they're first year in college basketball, but they've been playing the European League. So you got a lot of veteran experience that has helped Virginia kind of get to this point and will help them in the ACC play.
Oh, no doubt about it. And I'm looking forward to seeing the magic that Ryan Odom's going to be cooking up. Like, I mean, I don't know if he's going to give Virginia a national title like Tony Bennett, but I do feel like there's going to be some huge March Madness runs in the future with Ryan Odom.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. A lot of questions on this team. I still feel like they don't have consistency yet. You always have a couple minutes of a low, which they allow teams to come back in. I mean, the key one that I remember is the one in Dayton where they were up by 21 points, and suddenly Dayton made it a game, made it a single-digit affair. So you still have those lulls there in game where they lack a little bit of a focus or consistency through those games. But it's definitely something that you're seeing improvements every single game. So it'll be interesting to see how far they go this year in his first year.
Oh, no doubt about it. And, you were talking a little bit earlier today on Wahoos247 about whether we could see Chandler Morris come in for 2026, like just come back for 2026. What was that exactly, like, for those there that want to know?
Yeah, so Virginia has submitted a waiver so that Chandler Morris can have an extra year of eligibility. So they submitted the waiver back in October. It's related to Chandler Morris's TCU year in 2022, where he hurt himself in that first game against Colorado, and then he played 3 games in kind of mop-up minutes, including the national title game against Georgia. And he only threw 7 passes. So Virginia is putting in a waiver again for the NCAA so that he can petition for another year of eligibility. So they're still waiting word on that. And that's pretty much going to determine how Virginia kind of moves forward with that quarterback position. They'll have Daniel Kalen returning next year. He was the backup this year. He played against Wake Forest when Chandler Morris was out. And then they have a pair of freshman quarterbacks currently on the roster. And obviously we'll have Eli Hamrick come in January, the high school freshman. So, yeah, so it will determine a lot in the portal, but obviously they're still waiting on Chandler Morris's waiver decision.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like if he was able to return for 2026, I feel like we could get some more of that 2025 magic coming back.
I mean, they'll still have to fill in some holes there, but I think if you have Chandler Morris back, you might be able to convince some other players to take the extra year that they have, either through medical waiver or other situations. So if you have Morris back, you'll probably have a better fight in retaining some of the other talent that might be deciding between the NFL or returning.
And 2026. For the ACC. Now, the ACC football schedule has not been announced yet, which I assume it's going to get announced in mid to late January 2026. And some of the schools in the ACC are playing 9 conference games, and some of the schools are playing 8 conference games, Virginia being one of them. Now, we know that Virginia and North Carolina State are going to have their Week 0 game in Brazil. That's going to be a fun one right there, where it's like they're always like the odd ones out, where it's like Virginia, North Carolina State, it's we're going to make that a non-conference game for 2025. And for 2026, we're going to make you guys, we're going to play in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro for Week 0. That's so funny, but in all seriousness, what are your early notes for that 2026 schedule for Virginia football?
I honestly have not looked at it too detailed yet, since we're still kind of in 2025 and I have the portal first to cover. But just honestly, the only thing I don't like is I get the money that I'm still waiting on a FOIA request, but as far as Virginia making more money playing in Brazil, I mean, you get rough share and you get all that. So it obviously helps retaining the roster and all those things and all those. So that obviously is important, but you do lose a home game with that. So that's unfortunate for them, especially because you have West Virginia and Charlotte as well. So you have 2 neutral site games for Virginia, and coming off a 10-win season, possibly 11-win season, you would hope to start off the year in Scott Stadium to kind of build more momentum from that. So that's my biggest takeaways. Looking at it, you have some interesting road games when you go to Florida State. You also go to SMU. So those are the road games that you're circling. Obviously, Virginia Tech first year with James Franklin. It's an interesting schedule when that lines up, because I think some of the best games would be on the road for Virginia. At least they don't have a West Coast trip next year, which kind of hampered them a bit. So California is coming to UVA this year, but it's still early to kind of talk about the schedule, because with the portal, you don't really know what each ACC team will have, because you don't know about opt-outs yet. So I can't sit here and say, well, this is a favorable schedule, because you really don't know. And you probably don't even know in August either, because it's all about fit. Like what Virginia did this year with over 54 new faces coming in the roster is quite remarkable, because they found the right fit, and you had more hits than misses. That's not the case in college football, and statistically it doesn't happen very often. You can ask Florida State how they've done the last 2 years with the transfer portal and trying to gelling players. So what Virginia did is very uncharacteristic of what we've seen in the portal. So it's hard to judge that roster. The schedule, because of the rosters and so many questions. The only thing I'm not a fan of is having 2 neutral site games after a season they had this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've got plenty of questions about it, but it's you got to travel to North Carolina after traveling to Brazil. That's got to be nuts. But I'm already counting down to when Virginia and North Carolina is going to be scheduled, and I'm already just kind of counting down to the ACC title game rematch, revenge at Scott Stadium.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting game. I think this year, I mean, facing Duke twice in three weeks, basically, it was an interesting environment for Virginia. Virginia actually has the edge between those two teams in general games. So, and they were going into there as the favorite, and I think they played a little bit too tight against Duke. So yeah, it would kind of be like a revenge game for UVA. But at the same time, I mean, the roster is going to be so different. So it's hard to have those revenge games now.
There you go, man. I'm just like so. I always get excited about a good revenge game in the world of college football, or just in the sports world as a whole. Because I mean, a revenge story is a fun story to cover.
That's fair.
There we go. And with that being said, that is a conclusion of episode 93. And for those who want to learn about the magic you're creating on Wahoos247 and want to learn more about what you're creating, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my work is on Wahoos247.com. It's the Virginia site on the 247 network. You can follow me on X on, Jacquie Fran underscore Wahoos247. I'm on Threads, I'm on Bluesky, and then obviously we also have a YouTube channel and podcast on Wahoos247 as well. It's called the Good Old Podcast, so you can find us there. So yeah, a lot of content coming up. Even though it's Christmas, we're still going to put out content, and I'll obviously be in Jacksonville as well.
Oh, there you go. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Public about the magic that Jacquie creates on Wahoos247. Give her a follow on Bluesky. Give her a follow on Instagram and Threads as she creates all kinds of magic covering the Virginia Cavaliers in the world of college football and in the world of college basketball. And of course, you can check me out on Alabama at the Voice of College Football, where you can see me 3 times a week on Crimson Tide Live, Alabama Primetime Live, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Mondays and Tuesdays. And you can check out Jeffrey and myself on the Alabama Calling Show as we take your calls on the Crimson Tide, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can check me out on SEC at the Voice of College Football, where Tucker Harlan, Andrew Miller, Josh Mahler, and myself are live Monday nights, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On Wednesdays as well. And you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979, where I have 92 other episodes of the Jacksonian. 7 more episodes until we get to the magic number 100. We're going to get there in the year of 2026. That I can tell you for sure. And for more updates on what I've got going on the Jacksonian, Alabama at the Voice of College Football, SEC at the Voice of College Football, check me out on Jats VCFB on @/Twitter and on Instagram for Jats Johnson 543908. And you can give me a follow on Jackson Johnson 97 Bluesky Social at Bluesky, where the skies are blue. Some say the skies are gray, but I say to each their own. And with that being said, we wish you all a happy, happy, happy Monday. And to stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out. And to like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. And we will see you soon. Take care, everybody.